Hey guys, Ethan and Dr. Zyme here, and welcome back to another Nightmare Fuel. If for some reason you guys don't know what the series is, link in the description to the very first video I did on this. Basically, I'm going to read 1, 2, or 3 short horror stories, depending on how long they're going to take me. And just we're going to kind of vibe out in the dark and chill out. It's currently about midnight here, so I'm getting in the mood for it. Since it is getting close to Christmas, it is December 11th on the day that I'm recording this video. I figured we'd do some Christmas themed ones. So with that being said, let's flip off those lights, flip off that light, and let's get right into it. Now, this first story that we're going to be starting with is called Santa's Other Workshop. It was written on December 25th, 2019 by Derek Hawk. Perpetual darkness lingered at the top of the world. Thick ice, frigid air, and snow covered the lifeless mountainscape. However, the endless night did not go unchallenged. A single source of light illuminated the sky and drove back the darkness. Nestled between the two snow-covered mountains... That's a typo. Sorry to go ahead and break the mood. Nestled between the two snow-covered mountains, a little cottage sat with puffy, billowing smoke rising from its chimney. Ignoring the fact that the nearest civilization was thousands of miles away, to the casual eye, the house was simply a warm and welcoming home. Still, one might say to themselves, what an odd thing to find in such a bleak place. How could such a thing come to be? Like most things found in the North Pole, not everything is as it appears. The land was unforgiving and cruel. It could take your life within minutes. Only a select number of creatures were given permission to live in this harsh and relentless wilderness. All others who entered this domain did it of their own accord, such as the residents of this tiny little home. However, these individuals were like no other, and with a bit of magic at their disposal, they lived happy and joyful lives. At first glance, it would appear it was nothing more than a simple, ordinary home inhabited by an elderly couple who loved each other dearly. If this were your conclusion, you would be mistaken. In reality, a magical secret existed below. For the small house was much more than meets the eye. The little house was not just a home, but the tip of a mystical workshop hidden beneath the ice. For centuries, children around the world found joy from the efforts of the hidden workshop. All year round, tiny magical hands toiled and labored to create toys and playthings for all the good children of the world. Elves, the last of the magical creatures from old, dwelt within its walls and used their mystical nature to create wondrous and joyful things for Christmas morning. 3 days after the winter solstice, the old man would put on his heavy coat and boots, take to the air, and deliver his Christmas joy to every last child. Like everything in the cosmos, there must be a balance. For every night, there must be a day. For every beginning has an end. And, with every kind child, there is a naughty little boy or girl to be found. Far below the bright lights, singing, and happy elves creating and building new and fantastic toys, there was another workshop. There, the warmth of the hearthstones could not reach. While the purpose of the upper workshop was to bring happiness, the other was dark and sterile. It too had a purpose. It was here where the masses of cheap and easily broken toys were made. There was no love put into these objects. Never would a child's eyes brighten with wonder and awe upon seeing these gifts on Christmas morning. In his wisdom, the old man knew that even a naughty child should not be forgotten during this time of goodwill. However, the old man was no fool, and had no desire to waste his resources on such unsatisfying tasks. This responsibility was handed to the banished and exiled elves that inhabited the deepest bowels of the workshop. Those with selfish hearts and greedy desires, stripped of their immortality, they wasted away in the dark with only the trinkets and flimsy materials to pass the time. How do you say this name? Urga Eta. It's definitely an elf name. I have to put it at that. It's definitely an elf name. Regra Eta. Do we have to say this name anywhere else? Let's... Ta. Alright, we're gonna call this person EE. That's how we're going to denotate whether they whether like what their name is. It's going to be called EE, because I'm not going to try and fail and pronounce that every single time I do that. EE sat in the poorly lit corner of a tattered workbench. His focus was entirely devoted to the old and worn piece of brass in his hands. The clangs of his hammer hitting metal rang out and echoed through the dark halls and passageways. He pounded the brass sheet relentlessly until the metal slowly began to surrender its shape and bend to E's design. Suddenly, the hammer flew out of the Mad Elf's grasp. He examined his limp hand, trying to will it back into his control. Fury filled his heart as he watched the necrotic flesh slide off his bony hand. He didn't have much time. His other hand was weak, but still capable of grasp. He reached into his toolbox and removed a long, warped nail and stabbed it into the back of his paralyzed hand. He pushed on the nail head until its tip broke through the skin and emerged through his palm. Immediately, the pain surged and shot up his arm. The thick and rigid tendons loosened within his hand, giving him temporary use of his digits once more. The elf picked up his hammer and resumed molding the shape of the brass plate. With each impact upon the brass, he poured his rage into his creation. How ironic that the product of his tireless work was meant for the ones he hated the most. His deteriorating body was fading fast. He possessed just enough magic to fuel the curse he would cast upon the object. When finished, his gift would be placed with the other junk toys and cheap trinkets. It would make its way to them and find a child on Christmas morning. The curse will take hold and slowly begin tearing apart their lives. It will channel their essence back to him and reignite his immortality. The object would pass from one child, then to another, century after century. He had just enough magic left to evoke his curse. He had once lived and worked above. Like any other elf before him, he loved nothing more than to create beautiful and wondrous toys and gizmos. However, in his heart, he wished that he could keep some of the creations for himself. One day, his eyes fell upon a beautiful music box of his friend D had created. The music box was extraordinary, meant as a gift to a king's firstborn. It was magnificent. Crafted from oak wood, it bore an elaborate gold design on each of its sides. When opened, a figurine of 3 children danced hand in hand to a beautiful lullaby around a magnificent Christmas tree. EE had never desired anything more in his entire life. It filled his heart with jealousy. He became resentful that this precious and rare treasure would go to an undeserving human infant. The little girl didn't deserve it. It should go to him, he thought. So, under the cover of darkness, he slipped into the work area and took the music box. Unable to sleep and anxious to put the finishing touches on his prized creation, D decided to return to the workshop. To his surprise and shock, he caught the elf attempting to steal the special music box. D was enraged, for greed and thievery amongst elves were extremely offensive and not tolerated. E begged his friend not to report his transgression, but D was unmoved by the pleas and turned to tell the others of E's crime. Desperate, E did the only thing left for him to do. He grabbed a hammer and brought it down into his friend's head, over and over again, until no more life remained in the broken body. It's a weird thing to think about. You know, it's obviously a very different culture than anything we'd be used to. But the fact that they run off of magic and that he was losing his hand, his working hand, I'm going to assume it was his right hand, as if elves were like humans and most people are right-handed. And to be able to, I don't know if someone else was controlling it or whatever the hell happened to it, but he had to stab a nail through it to be able to get it. And then he also didn't want to get sent down to the lower workshop, which means all these elves obviously know about it because he knew how bad it would be, which is why he killed D here in this situation. I don't know. Just really something to think about, in my mind at least. Despite his meticulous efforts to conceal his crime, he could not escape the sight and wisdom of the old man. Humiliated and dishonored, the elf was banished from the workshop, and his precious music box was taken from him and given to the little princess. Stripped of his immortality, EE was cast into the cold and dark quarters of the other workshop to spend his remaining days, never to create a beautiful thing again. As the seasons passed, his hatred for all children grew and ate away at his sanity. He gritted his teeth, knowing that the children of men were given everything, and he had nothing. Hunched over his work, he feverishly worked to complete his masterpiece. He stared down at the anvil and hammered down on the brass. Each strike brought the faces of a child into his mind. It lives in warmth. The blunt hammer formed the metal into a hollow cylinder. It stuffs its face with sweets and treats. Stumpy legs were wielded into place. It gets everything it asks from Mummy and Daddy. A malformed head and crooked ears took shape. It gets anything its little heart desires. The brass surface was scrubbed of debris and grime. It gets everything it wants. Small turquoise stones were affixed to the brass body. I hate it. One glimmering red ruby stone was bound to the left side of the figurine's head. I hate it. Finally, a second red ruby was embedded into the surface on the face's other side. I hate them all! In the glow of the fire, E held up the brass figurine. It was a disturbing representation of a rabbit. Its body was a lattice of crisscrossed brass stripes, bejeweled with a pale blue turquoise stone at each intersection. Its head was malformed and gave the impression of a dead thing instead of a pleasant rabbit full of life. He placed the atrocious thing upon an open silver locket that contained a mirror on each side of the hinged inner sides. With the rabbit figurine facing one of the mirrors, he carefully opened a vial that held a clear fluid. It was lymph. The lymph from an elf was a source of magic that flowed through their bodies, like that of blood, from the second set of unique arteries found within its own circulatory system, and pumped by a very special second heart. Only a few tiny drops fell out of the vial. It splashed into the figurine and mirrored locket, illuminating them with a golden glow. He closed his eyes and spoke the words of wormwood in his elven tongue. The clear liquid turned black and stained the surface of both the rabbit statuette and the silver locket. The glow turned a deep purple, then slowly faded. Pleased with the outcome, he gently placed a cloth over the object without making eye contact to obscure it from sight, and ever so carefully placed it in a small box decorated with holiday cheer. Finished with his work, he turned to leave, pushing past the corpses of several elves hanging upside down from the support beams of the other workshop. Their lifeless bodies drained completely of every last drop of magical lymph from slit throats. E's calculation had been correct. He had just enough magic to fuel the curse placed on the object. The mad elf smiled and began to laugh. For the first time in a very long time, EE's heart filled with anticipation at the approach of Christmas morning. The little girl sat in a large pile of torn wrapping paper from the many gifts she found under the Christmas tree. On the morning of December 22nd, Gabby awoke earlier than everyone else. She went downstairs and glared at the many presents that continuously tempted her. It was as if they teased and mocked her every time she looked at the colorful and beautiful wrapping paper. She would receive such a terrible scolding from her parents, but she couldn't wait any longer. At first, it would only be one gift she opened. Then it became two. Then another, and another. Before she knew it, all of her presents had been opened. Despite getting everything she asked for, the desire for more was still not satisfied. When Gabby stood, a small gift next to the base of the Christmas tree caught her eye. She could have sworn it had not been there before. The wrapping paper was worn and yellowed with age. Written in big words was a tag that said, "To Gabriella." It was like no other, and she surely would have seen it before now. Puzzled, she removed the wrapping paper and found a box that contained a smaller sealed box and a scroll. She opened the scroll and read, Congratulations, lucky one. You are the proud owner of Pepe the Rabbit. Pepe loves you and will be your best friend in the whole world. Pepe is a friend like no other, and he will give you everything your heart desires. To be Pepe's friend, you must listen to him and never disobey the following instructions. Number 1. Place Pepe on his locket facing the mirror. Number 2. Never look Pepe in his eyes. He is ever so bashful and only likes to see you through his mirror. Number 3. You may ask anything of Pepe 3 times. In 3 days' time, he will grant any and all of you asked of him. Number 4. Never look Pepe in his eyes. It bears repeating. He does not like it and will be upset if you disobey this rule. Remember, lucky little boy or girl, Pepe loves you. He loves you more than anyone else in the whole wide world. Pepe will make sure that no one will hurt you ever again. And if you love Pepe, you will listen to him and do whatever he asks of you. Pepe loves you, and no one can ever come between you and him. Pepe loves you. So, I honestly don't know what to think. It wasn't that scary of a story, I'm not gonna lie. Let's get right back up here to where it talked about him and what it was doing to them. It was taking their life force. Yeah, right here. Tearing apart their lives. Channel their essence back to him and reignite his immortality. So I'm wondering if just being around Pepe, the rabbit will, help transmit that essence, I guess is the right word. Yeah, transmit that essence to him, or if it's going to look in the eye. If, you have to look in the eye, then it's like that, like you're done, you're over. There's nothing you can do about it. Because it repeats it twice. And if you know anything about kids, which I hope most of you do, because we were all a kid at once, that they don't want to do what they're told. They're going to do the opposite of what they're told, especially if he knows it's going to a bad child. The bad children are more likely, if they're naughty children, not going to listen to him, not going to listen to the rules, are going to want to break the rules, stuff like that. So I'm thinking once, this girl and then the people on in the future, once it's handed down, we'll look into its eyes, then it will, give them that good suck of their essence. And kind of transmit it on. But it wasn't that scary. If I had to rate it, I would give it an it was good writing. He had I wish he would have included more about the elves' lives, and it was more scary, like I said. Go on about it. Come on, dude, you got this. You're a good writer. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. So now looking at the length of this story and seeing how long I've been recording for, I think we're only going to do 2 today, and we're going to end it with this one. It's called A Christmas Story. It was written on December 22nd, 2019, or at least published then, and it was written by Gamer. Also, really quickly before I start, I just, hit that taskbar at the bottom. I'm sorry, I forgot to do it for the first story. I guess I'm going to try to edit it out. We'll have to see how that goes. If not, I'm probably actually just going to leave it in. But now, that annoying thing isn't at the bottom of the screen. My bad on that one. I sigh, stretch, and push myself away from my laptop. I let the chair spin before lazily dragging my foot to stop it. I had been working on a new story. One about Christmas and the horrors it included. It was pretty cheesy, and all the ideas felt recycled. Psycho elves, murderous Santas, hungry reindeer, you know the drill. I want to give up, but I have abandoned enough projects. My cat, Sam, rubs against my leg and purrs. I pick him up and he lays on my lap for a minute. Sometimes I don't mind this life. I stay by myself and nobody bothers me. It's moments like this that I feel guiltiest for wanting more. I know I've got nothing going on. If I died right now in my chair, nobody would notice. I look at the time and realize it's past midnight already. I pull myself out of the chair and flop face first on my bed. I rearrange my covers and close my eyes. Right as I drift off, I swear I hear tiny footsteps, a giggle, and the ring of a bell. My eyes snap open. I prop myself up on my elbows and check my clock. It's only 2 a.m. I look out the window and see snow. It's Christmas Day. I can't believe I forgot. The snow is falling so perfectly, it almost feels like my story. I hear that damn bell again and turn towards my door. I cautiously walk out of my room and turn my hallway light on. I quietly make my way downstairs and turn on all the lights in my house. Nobody's here. I notice a present under my tree. It's a medium-sized box, wrapped in dark red paper. I don't remember putting it there. I kneel down as I approach the box. I carefully tear off the paper. The box is red too. I open the box and immediately vomit. My cat is in it. His formerly gray and black striped body now red. An eyeball has fallen out of its socket. His entrails have been used to tie his paws together. Mutilated beyond recognition. The only way I know it's him, because of the dark blue collar sitting on top of his matted fur. I vomit again and start crying. I pick up his collar. His name has been crossed out. That's something that's very creepy to think about, because if you guys didn't see it in the intro, let me turn my phone on real quick. You guys can't see that thing right there. That's my dog. He is currently asleep. He is turning 6 he turned 6 3 days ago. I'm sorry. And I've raised him since he was 5 weeks old. And if that happened to him, I don't know what I would do. I would probably be in a fit of rage. To think something like that to happen to this guy who's living by himself, and nobody's caring about him, so most likely his only friend, is something very scary and weird to think about. I run back up to my room and slam the door. On my wall, Merry Christmas has been written on my walls in what looks like blood. I run to my computer to check for internet connectivity. My phone is left downstairs, so that's out of the question. My computer turns on, and there, displayed on the screen, is my story. I read through it, and it starts sounding familiar. The main character's pet gets brutally slaughtered, and the main character must fight for her life against Christmas gone wrong. I know what will happen next. I'm terrified. Every cliche in this book is about to become my alive. Everything that I laugh at in my stories is about to kill me. I do a quick check of my closet and under my bed before plopping myself down in front of the door. I start crying again. I shut up when I hear something prancing on the rooftop. And right on cue, out jumps good old Santa Claus. The reindeer are here. I scramble to my feet and start barricading my door. I hear slow, heavy footsteps coming up my stairs. I open my window and throw my fire lighter out. I run to my backpack, empty it out, and put my laptop in it. I need to keep track of my enemies. Suddenly, I'm determined to survive. I put my tangled hair into a ponytail, slip on shoes, and put on my jacket. Something starts pounding at my door. I swing my leg over the windowsill and start climbing down. My door splinters open and 2 elves riding a reindeer burst through. I consider jumping, but I'm on the 2nd floor. I climb faster, but only get about halfway down before I see an elf peek out the window. He looks like something you would see in a Christmas movie. He has pink, rosy cheeks and shiny black hair. He smiles cruelly and pulls a knife out to cut my rope. He smiles and waves as I fall. At first, I can't breathe. I desperately gasp before finally getting a short breath. Something cold lands on my face. I feel around me. I landed on snow. It's snowing. The wind picks up. It's like it started just for me. I start laughing. My hysterical laughter rings through the yard. I wave my arms around me, making this strange snow angel. I stand back up, brushing off my clothes and bump my backpack. My laptop! I landed right on top of it. I can't believe I forgot about it. I shrug my bag off and unzip it. My computer is in 2 pieces. I don't know what to do next. I can't remember what happens next. How will I survive? No, I say to myself. I will not be beaten by a children's legend and furries. I decide to go in through the back door, mainly because my fence is too tall to climb. I must have left it unlocked last night because it swings open with ease. I don't trust this, but I'm out of choices and time. A horrifying scene greets me upon entry. The walls are streaked with blood. It looks fresh. The stove has a big pot boiling on it. I take a knife from the block and slowly approach it. I turn off the gas and peek inside. In it, there's a bright red Santa's hat. Why would he boil his own hat? Nothing they do makes sense. This isn't how the story goes. I broke the only copy of the story, so it should stop. Right? I'm sorry. My sister and her friend are upstairs, currently going crazy, and my dog, they woke up my dog, and I'm barking at them. I apologize. What if, since they aren't bound in the story, they are free? If they are free, only one thing will distinguish my character from me. My character will have survived. I grip the knife tighter and continue through the kitchen. I make my way through the living room and back to the Christmas tree. The present is gone, but the memory and blood stains are not. I hear bells again. I whip around violently and face the chimney. I hear someone softly chanting, "Ho, ho, ho," over and over. I want to scream and cover my ears, do anything to stop it. It's not jolly or happy, just a monstrous mantra. I want to light a fire under his ass, but the logs have been removed. Instead, I run back upstairs, knowing they're all watching me, chasing me. I'm not just paranoid. I can hear them whispering, laughing at me, following me. I slide under my bed. My elbow hits something, and I feel a sharp, stabbing pain. I pull the mystery object out of my arm and inspect it. It's a piece of wood. It's painted midnight blue with silver and gold stars. It's a part of my door. My door has been destroyed and is scattered around my room. I have no other cover. Heavy, deliberate footsteps ascend my staircase, followed by light, quick ones. The heavy ones must be Santa, and the light ones must be the elves. His reindeer are gone. Shiny black boots appear at my door, and I hold my breath. They slowly meander over to my bed and stand in front of it. I remember that when I was little, I was scared of Santa. I refused to sit on his lap, or write letters, or recognize Christmas. For me, it was just another day. I'm not sure why I was so scared of Santa back then, but I know why I'm scared now. In all honesty, I feel I have the right to be petrified of Santa if I survive this. Who am I kidding? There's no way I stand a chance. There are no superheroes to save me. No mom to sit with me so she could get one goddamn picture. My name is Aubrey Green. I am 24 years old. Last week was my birthday. I have red frizzy hair and freckles. I code for a living. I never met my neighbors. I haven't spoken to my mother in almost a year. And I haven't seen my dad since I was like 10. I was bullied a lot as a kid and have self-harm scars. I'm still wearing my pajamas, a pink and black tank top, black shorts, and pink knee-high socks that look like cats. I hear sirens. In a few hours, my mother will receive a call. She'll fall to her knees and cry, but she'll be okay in time. Sirens are closer, but not close enough. Someone cared about me enough to call for help. The only problem is, soon, none of that will matter, because in a few seconds, I will be dead. Now, besides being rudely interrupted by my dog and my sister and her friend upstairs, this story is kind of cool. You know, she writes her own, and it seems that she's living out her own fantasy. Not fantasy. That's not the right way to put it. I don't think anybody would have a fantasy about dying to a horror Santa Claus and his elves and reindeer. I don't think that's right. But looking here, she's living out, her own story that she wrote, her own mindset, and then her laptop snapped. So what I'm thinking, whenever I get to this part, is I'm thinking, okay, everybody's following script just like they're supposed to be. And then the laptop breaks. Now there's no more script to follow. Everything goes off script. Could she have changed this? Probably. Like, as a character story, not as a writer, as a character story, could she have changed this? Yes. As a main character, yes, she could have. She could have done something else, Could have tried to fight back, but she just gave straight up. And then there's one thing that's triggering me about this story. Right here, at the bottom. I hear sirens. In a few hours, my mother will receive a call. She'll fall to her knees and cry, but she'll be okay. This sentence right here. Someone cared about me enough to call for help. How in the hell does someone know to call for help? Do they see the wreckage and call? If so, if you can hear the sirens, why don't you make a run for it back out your window? It'll at least buy you more time. You have neighbors. Go to your neighbor's house. They can help out. Or at least if you're saving your own life, they'll go to your neighbors instead of you. She doesn't make any sense. But I guess most people in horror stories don't. But, yeah, that's it. I might go ahead and record a different one tonight, another one. Post this one, closer to Christmas, maybe even like the lead up to Christmas, Christmas Eve, something like that. Give you guys something to ponder about on Christmas. For those of you that are subscribed, if not, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe and do all that for more content like this. And I'll probably go ahead and record another one tonight of just, a normal one and go ahead and post that. Maybe tomorrow. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of Nightmare Fuel. I almost forgot what I called it there. I haven't been doing a lot of these, and the last one I did was a while ago. It was back in summer, and now it's almost the end of the semester. I actually took my finals last week for school. But before I keep on rambling on, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you're new around here and enjoyed content. Comment down below. For those of you who don't know, I comment in the bottom of each description. I put something that for you guys to comment. Just a question, just comment. It would help out a lot in the algorithm. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it's been your boy Dr. Zyme. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.